Hi, my name is Kathy Moine and we're here at Green Thumb Nursery in Lake Forest, California to talk about my favorite feathered friend, the hummingbird. So I took notes. I'm going to go over the different species that are in our area. The most common one is the Annas, and they mainly stay in California. They don't necessarily migrate north or south. They go to the higher elevations when it gets hot, and then they come down to the lower elevations when it's cold. So they're pretty smart. They have green feathers and they have that nice pink-red throat. The males have that nice pink-red throat. The other one that we get down here is the Allen's hummingbird. They have a distinct migration pattern. Their breeding areas are along the California and Oregon coast. They winter in southern Mexico and they can arrive in California as early as January. They have lots of rust colors in their feathers. The next one is the rufous. They have also a migration pattern that takes them 4,000 miles. They travel 4,000 miles from Mexico to Alaska with the wintering grounds in Mexico. They come up the coast in spring and they head to the Pacific Northwest and Canada to breed. They are very feisty, so they like to defend their food sources. So the ones that are chasing ones off the feeders, that's probably a rufous. The males are orange with a reddish-orange throat, and the females are greenish-black with rusty sides and a green tail with orange patches. So we also get the Costas, not as common, but they range from the Sonoran and Mojave Desert to the California coast. They usually best time to see them May is the best time to see them in our area. These hummingbirds are shy and less aggressive. So if you'd like to attract them, you want to give them a feeder kind of off on their own because these other guys bully them around. We also get the black-chinned hummingbird. These guys enjoy a wide territory. They can be found in the lowlands deserts and the mountain forests. They can be in a natural or an urbanized area as long as there's tall trees and flowers in the area. So they're pretty smart. They know where to go. They usually perch on high points and chase off the other hummingbirds. So I've seen that too, where they're hanging out up there like guarding their territory. Females' color is a metallic green above and dull gray below. Their outer feathers have broad white tips. The males have a black throat with an iridescent purple base, and they can migrate over 2,000 miles twice a year. That's pretty crazy. So I'm sure you've seen them when they do their little swing where they swoop up and down and then they'll go really, really high and then they come down and zoom. That is a mating dance, or sometimes they use it for territorial things. They can fly as high as 66 feet to 100 feet when they pass their mate, and they have been clocked at 30 miles per hour at a direct flight and 45 miles per hour when they're doing that dive. It's pretty crazy to see them do it. It's actually a lot of fun. And because they go way up there. It's like, where are they going? And then when they come down, it's like a zoom when they come by. It's pretty cool. Hummingbirds eat a lot. They have a high metabolism and they eat all day long. They actually eat every 15 minutes from the time the sun comes up to the time the sun goes down. They consume half their body weight in bugs and nectar. I didn't realize they actually eat bugs, but they do. They visit 1,000 to 2,000 flowers throughout the day, as well as other feeders. And they feed on small insects, beetles, ants, aphids, gnats, mosquitoes, and wasps. So they're going to be busy this year with those mosquitoes, I tell you what. So we actually had a chance to raise some baby hummingbirds. So we got the feeling of what it was like to have babies. Because those babies wake up as soon as that sun cracks the horizon, and they're hungry about every 15 minutes. Another kind of cool thing that they do is they have projectile poops. They will actually position themselves at the end of the nest and poop out the nest. So they're pretty smart about that. That's how sometimes you know you've got hummingbirds and there's a nest above, because you see all this poop down on the ground. You're like, where'd that come from? And you look up and there's the nest. So that's kind of neat. So a good thing to do is to provide a lot of feeders. If you want to have a good amount of hummingbirds, you want to provide 2 or 3 or more feeders for them. One of the feeders that I like to use is this double feeder. Well, it's a single. We sell them as doubles, but they're small. And what's nice about these is they don't take a whole lot of nectar to go in them, and they drink through it pretty quickly, and then when they're done, you just rinse it out with some water. You don't want to save any of the extra that's left over in there. Rinse it out with water, give it a good shake, and then you fill it back up again. And one of the things I've been using is the electro nectar. This one here has electrolytes, and it also helps to not only hydrate them, but it gives them some nutrition. And I've also had other birds hit this electrolyte stuff. Now, if you've got lots of feeders and you want to make your own, we have one of our friend YouTubers who has a channel. It's the Robbie and Gary Gardening Easy channel. You can find the link down below. And they have lots of videos on how to make the right kind of nectars. And the hummingbirds like moving water. So she's got a lot of great videos on making simple little fountains that the hummingbirds like to come to. So check her out. I'm going to talk about some of the plants that you can use in your yard as well, so you don't have to just give them feeders. Another thing about these feeders, with all the rain, these feeders, the flowers are up and down. Feeders that have the flowers that are flat, if it rains a lot, that water can cause the food to be diluted too much. And if it's not enough sugar in there for them, it actually is detrimental to them. So keep that in mind when you're picking which feeder you want to use. And if you do have the ones that have the flat ones, if they're not visiting your feeder, it's because there's too much water in that sugar. And you'll have to start all over again, which is another reason why I like this one. So some of the plants that they like to go to, which there's a lot of plants, but I thought I'd feature a few. This one right here, since I got it on here, this one is called a Million Bells, and this is in the petunia family, and these bloom pretty much year-round, and they have a lot of great color. During the winter they slow down a little bit, but for the most part these guys are really good for good instant color. They can get some budworms, so you might have to spray them with some spinosad, which is an organic product, won't hurt the hummingbirds. Then we also have salvias. There's all kinds of salvias. Let me get this out of the way. There's all kinds of different salvias that you can use. This one is actually a native salvia, and you see this one all over in our slopes. This is a salvia here. This one is a Mexican salvia or sage. This one is Amistad salvia. We also have the microphylla salvias. So there's all kinds of salvias, and they love these little salvias. They also like penstemons. This is a native penstemon called Margarita Bop, and this one flowers from spring until fall. These salvias actually bloom a good portion of the year, so that makes them a really good choice for the hummingbirds. We have lantana. They like the lantana. These come in all different colors, shapes, and sizes, and they bloom for the most part the warm months, a little bit in the winter time. We have grevilleas. Grevilleas come in all different shapes and sizes. I have another grevillea here. This guy is also a grevillea. And these guys bloom almost year-round. They are really easy to take care of. These are all drought-tolerant plants, which is good. Now we're not really going to have to worry about that too much this year. Okay, this one is a Kufia, or false heather. This one is called Firecracker Orange. And that one, as you can see, those nice orange flowers attracts them. This one is good old kangaroo's paw. They come in different shapes and different colors. This one is called a Butylon, or flowering maple, and this one also comes in different colors and sizes. Some are tall, some are short, and they will also take shade. They'll bloom in a shady spot. Most of these that I'm showing you now are full sun. We still have a few snapdragons left. They like the snapdragons. In Southern California, we treat these as winter annuals, but a lot of times they'll go ahead and hang in there until through the summer. They do have a tendency to get rust on them, which is why we don't normally sell them as a summer annual, but we do still have some left. Here's another salvia. This one is called Ember's Wish. So these are so cute, and these get fairly good size. They're mostly about 3 to 5 feet in size, height and width. Then we finally got our mandavillas in. They do like the mandavillas. Those are finally come back. They're not really happy with all this cold, wet weather that we've had, but they are back. And we have the succulents. This one is an aloe, And then I also have an echeveria. And as you can see, they've got great little flowers on them. And they love these little guys. So succulents mainly flower pretty much, well, the echeveria can flower off and on through the year, but the aloes are usually spring and fall. And then I have a vine. This one is a jasmine, believe it or not, yellow jasmine. This is called Revolutum. And it flowers off and on throughout the season, and it is fragrant. And I also have the pink jasmine back here behind me. I wish you all could smell this. It smells so good right here. I also have the wisteria. They'll go for that as well. And this one here smells so good for us. Then we have another plant. This is called Russellia. And as you can see, this also likes to hang. So you could put it on the edge of a wall and let it hang over the wall. This is very drought tolerant. It's a great little plant. Flowers mostly in the warm months. And then of course we have the buddleia. This one here has a tendency to go a little sleepy in the wintertime, but when it starts to flower, it's pretty much non-stop until about December. And the butterflies also like this plant. So this is a really good butterfly / hummingbird attractor. And they come in pinks, whites, purples, no yellows, but that's okay. They're still pretty. And so that is a really good rundown of a lot of the plants that you can use to attract hummingbirds. You know, if you just follow them around the nursery, that'll give you a good idea of what they like. They are not too picky. Okay, so let's look at some fun facts. Hummingbirds are the smallest bird. The bee hummingbird of Cuba weighs only 1.95 grams. That's about as much as a quarter teaspoon of sugar. The hummingbirds have the smallest eggs, and their nests are roughly the size of a half of a walnut shell. They build tiny nests. It takes approximately 7 days for them to build the nest. They use small twigs, moss, and spider webs to glue them all together. Now we actually have one that takes paint flecks off of some of the racks that we have up in our backstock area, and she'll put the paint flecks around the nest. You can always tell where she's been getting her stuff, and she's always in our nursery in one certain spot, so it's really fun to see her every year come back. Then they lay 2 tiny eggs, they look like little jelly beans, and there's usually one male and one female in the group, and usually the female's a little stronger than the male. Once they hatch, they stay in the nest for about 3 weeks. The male hummingbird has nothing to do with the family. Once he does his thing, he is off to chase other women. Kind of typical, right? Okay, hummers can fly forward, backward, and even upside down, being the only invertebrate capable of hovering for a period of time in flight. When they migrate, they usually fly alone. They're lone rangers when they're making the trip, and they take the same path that they've flown earlier in life. Research indicates that they can travel as much as 23 miles in one day. Their body functions, now this is pretty crazy. Their average lifespan is 5 years, but they've been known to live more like 10. They have very keen eyesight, which is a good thing because they're catching all those little gnats and bugs. Their heartbeat is 225 times per minute when they're at rest, and 1,200 times per minute when they're in flight. Their wings beat 70 times per second in regular flight and 200 times per second when they're doing that crazy dive. No wonder they make like a sonic sound when they come by you. Their normal body temperature is 105. That is crazy. Another cool thing is they don't hop or walk, they scoot. So when we were raising those babies, we were teaching them how to fly. They would flap their wings and then land, and then they'd flap their wings and scoot over and land. So they don't hop and they don't walk. They're pretty cool. Okay, so they are one of the few birds capable of a type of hibernation called torpor. And what they do is they'll hang by one leg upside down if they don't have enough food, if it's cold, too hot. That's how they maintain. So when they do that, they slow their metabolistic functions down to a minimum. They have very large brains. Their brain is 4.2% of their body weight. The average human brain is 2% of our body weight. So they're like twice as smart as us. Can you believe that? So they can remember their migration routes, and they remember every flower that they visit, and they know exactly how long it takes for these flowers to regenerate more pollen for them, or more nectar. So yeah, they are pretty smart. So that, in a nutshell, is the hummingbirds of our area. I hope this was helpful for you. If you like what you saw, please click the like button and click the follow button if you are wanting to watch more of our videos so you can see when we get new ones. So thanks for watching and have a great day.